All right, what is going on, my dudes? We are back here today with the November 2022 update for the best champions to use an Awakening Gem on. Now, just 2 days ago, we put up the best champions to rank 4. Now, there's obviously a pretty good reason as to why I'm releasing these videos right after Cyber Weekend, because lots of people have an absolute excess of rank up materials and Awakening Gems, and some people want them guided. So that's what this video is going to be. Of course, as always, rank up the champions you want, awaken the champions you want. But if you're looking for some guidance, you want to know what maybe I would do, well, guess what, man? This is what I would do. That's what these videos are for. Now, the way this chart is pretty much going to be is that up here, champions no question are worth a generic gem in my opinion. Down here, no question are worth a class gem, and then down here, kind of debatable either way. Meaning like, yeah, these champions are good, but maybe they're a little outdated, maybe they're fine on dupes, that kind of stuff, So yeah, just keep that in mind as we go along. On Cyber Weekend, if you were a Paragon player, you could potentially get up to 4 random Awakening Gems and 3 generic Awakening Gems within the span of 5 minutes, all for swiping your credit card. So if you have those gems available to you right now, I would not even bat an eye if you toss a generic gem into a champion down and debatable, because that's just how the 6-star economy is right now, especially after these big sales. But without further ado, let's start jumping in with the skill class, and I'm very excited to bring somebody to go along with Nick Fury. For the first time ever, we have a second skill option up there in skill with Mr. Nick Fury. We have Valkyrie. Valkyrie, just such an amazing champion with an amazing sig ability as well, especially at a high sig. Valkyrie is a champion whose value is starting to be discovered, I see, and I feel like as time goes on over the next coming weeks, as more people get her from the featured 6-star crystal, right, I feel like you're going to see more and more people using her. She's very valuable. She's very, very, very good. And yeah, definitely would not even bat an eye if somebody wanted to put a generic gem into her. She's very, very solid. Nick Fury, of course, we can kind of skip over. We've talked about him all the time. Nick Fury, one of the best champions to put a generic gem into. Moving on to class, Mole Man gets that nice extra damage, especially at a high sig. By the way, little asterisk, right? That's going to be for benefits from a high sig, and the little arrow up here, that's going to be prestige option. Now, Thor did kind of fall off because of Quicksilver and Infamous Iron Man kind of shaking up the prestige stuff, so we're going to take that icon off of him. But yeah, Valkyrie is like top 6 prestige right now at rank 4. I believe Spidey Sword Supreme is number 5 now. So yeah, that's what the little arrow does. All right, Kingpin does not need to be a super duper high sig, but definitely an amazing champion to awaken. OG Black Panther gets a lot of great stuff in the sig ability, especially at a high sig, can reach minus 100% defensive ability accuracy, also can shrug off debuffs on intercepts. Thor Ragnarok, really solid, even at a low sig, gets a lot of extra damage. You really do love to have that awakening ability there. Kraven loves to be at a higher sig, man. He's one of those champions where the more you invest, the more he's going to be good. At a lower sig, at a lower rank, he's not going to be too great, but if you do invest in him, he's going to be good. So yeah, Kraven definitely a solid option for a gem. Crossbones, outstanding, unawakened, but also his sig ability is so good, allows him up to a 90% chance to purify debuffs at sig 200. So really solid there, man, but has all the damage, has the defensive ability, accuracy reduction, unduped as well. Blade, really solid, does not need to be a super duper high sig, contrary to popular belief. Really great champion to put a gem into, in my opinion. Moving on to debatable, we have Falcon. I tossed Falcon on the list for all the Falcon fans. The Falcon fans have convinced me to toss them onto the debatable options for rank 4 and for the gem. Now, Falcon is a very solid champion. I personally would not throw an awakening gem into him because I don't really think he needs it. He definitely benefits from it. He gets some additional time on his lock-on. However, that could be made up for with synergies. I would not personally give him too many sig stones. He gets additional critical rating, but also his special 2 has a guaranteed critical hit when he's locked on. So I feel like there are just better options for that. Stealthy, one of my favorite champions in the game, but pretty much all you get here is just some extra damage. Definitely does not need it, but definitely really nice. I think at max sig, it's an additional 40% potency to his very powerful Fury, so it is quite a bit. Black Cat definitely benefits from a high sig, actually. That should have a little asterisk there. So Black Cat, she has 2 parts of her sig ability, and one of them is just like standard flat, and the other one scales, right? So the way it works, essentially, let's just actually take a really quick look at it, because it's kind of confusing. So first and foremost, you get combo shields, which are really great for a combo champion, right? They fall off one at a time and last for 3 seconds after she's struck. But over here, it's more of a defensive ability when Black Cat would be struck while dashing. For each combo shield effect on her, she has up to an 11.11 chance to gain an evade passive. It's really annoying for defense. So basically, that really turns her into a very solid dual-use champion for stuff like Battlegrounds. If you care about that, she could definitely benefit from a nice high sig. But even just like, for offensive purposes, it could be nice at the lowest sig, in my opinion there. but also could totally be used unawakened as well. That's why she's down here. Shang-Chi definitely does not need to be awakened, but the extra damage is definitely nice to have. Aegon. Aegon certainly benefits from a higher sig, but at the same time, man, I would not awaken Aegon personally unless I was planning to use him in something like Abyss or Labyrinth, right? And I just feel like, as of right now, man, unless we get like Abyss Part 2, I just would hold off on that for now. I would hold off on that now. I'm not the biggest fan of Aegon in content like, you know, Act 8 and Alliance Quest, AQ, you know, AW, that kind of stuff. He's not good in Battlegrounds, right? Just my personal opinion. I don't personally enjoy Aegon outside of there, but of course, he's so good for the long-form content. Moving on to Science. No major changes over here. Spidey and Quicksilver, easy peasy, lemon squeezy, generic options. Quicksilver, of course, top 3 prestige in the game. Both of these champions see lots of benefits from high sig, especially Spidey. Really bumps up his damage output by quite a lot. He has very high damage output of max sig. Moving on to the class option, Spot. Spot definitely benefits from high sig. Let's put that on there. Spot really solid, man. Not in the featured pool yet. No one really has Spot yet, you know, unless you grind it for him in the arena. So what is that? 200 people, and then if you went for Cavs, you got lucky on Cavs, or you railed out on Cavs. So most people watching this video probably don't have him, right? So yeah, but in the future, just keep that in mind. Let's say you have let's say you pulled a Science Gem this weekend, you don't got anyone to use it on, right? You know, the 6-star featured crystals changed up in 2 months. Just keep it in the back of your mind. Maybe you keep it for Spot. Really solid champion to use on. Scorpion as well, really solid. Allows you to, in my opinion, Scorpion probably the best Science champion in the game right now. Allows you to block unblockable attacks, special attacks. Really good ability. On top of that, it allows you to heal off of the opponent after your special 2 in Battlegrounds and Alliance War because of their willpower healing. Really good ability. Captain America Infinity War is slightly, I don't want to say outdated, but there's just other champions I would rather awaken nowadays. Pretty much everybody above him here I would rather awaken, but still a really solid champion. I personally put 186 stones into my Captain America Infinity War not too long ago. I did awaken him naturally though. The Thing, kind of same thing as Captain Infinity War, really solid. Definitely wants to be at a high sig. Captain America needs to be at a high sig. But it's just like, there are other Science champions that would be on my radar before him, but just really solid at sig 200. Overseer also benefits from a higher sig. I'm slacking here, guys. I'm slacking on the asterisks. But yeah, Overseer gets some really nice benefit from being awakened, allows him to ramp up a lot quicker, plus some additional damage as well, which is always very nice. Mr. Negative has a really great sig ability, even at a low sig, allows him to heal from D-Gen, which is great for countering some of the annoying Mystic champions. So really solid meta champion there. Immortal Abomination allows you to start with your poisoned debuffs on you, 3 of them, and it brings the stack up to 12, plus based on your sig level, increases the duration or length of your poisons, petrifies, acid burns, and I believe one other thing that is slipping my mind at the moment. So yeah, I-Bomb does not need to be at a highest sig. He definitely benefits from it, but also super duper fine at sig 1. Minus sig 1 is probably staying there for a very long time, unless I pull him a few times. Moving on to Debatable. Joe Fixit, man. I almost wanted to put Joe Fixit into the class option because he is very underrated. He definitely needs to be awakened, in my opinion, to be really good, and he's definitely worth it. He does not need to be a super high sig. Definitely benefits. It's not needed. Void isn't debatable because I feel like he's very outdated at the moment. There are just a lot of other champions that could just do what he does better. For reversing power gain, you got Spidey 2099. For reversing healing, you got Mr. Fantastic, right? For, his... What does he have? Like the agility debuff or something that kind of counters the evade or unstoppable in a bit, kind of, but like not too great. You have slow debuffs and stuff like that. So I just feel like, Void really good, really solid damage at a high sig, but there are just other champions who just do what he does easier and better nowadays. But if he's your favorite champion, man, hey, do it. Go for it. Enjoy it. Anti-Venom, man. Anti-Venom is definitely a really solid champion. His damage output is a little bit low until he ramps up, which certainly turns some people off, but Anti-Venom definitely needs to be awakened, in my opinion, to really be useful because his debuffs get increased potency and stuff like that. He has another ability in there as well, something along the lines of that scales with sig. Let me check really quickly. It's slipping my mind. Here we go. You gain a passive regen stack that recovers up to 65% of the attack damage from a non-critical hit. That counts as blocked hits, right? So with the recovery mastery, his regeneration is quite nutty, and he definitely does need to be at a high sig for that. But as you can see, this is the important part down here. Sig 1 is just fine, and you're totally fine with sig 1 for him if you're an Anti-Venom fan. Piggy! We got the pig. You know what? We gotta throw this guy on here too, because there's room for it. So Piggy... Pick a really, really solid champion, amazing champion in Battlegrounds. He does not need to be awakened. That's the only thing. There are other science champions who need to be awakened so much more than he does, but he's just so good and does help us ramp up just a little bit faster, increases his damage output because you get the additional Porker Popper, right? You get all the other stuff as well. Really, really solid champion. Mr. Fantastic, amazing champion. Just does not need to be awakened, but at the same time, gets a nice benefit, and a nice benefit from the high sig. You get that increased combat power rate. Human Torch, I really do not advise you to do this. I really do not. Like, he was off the list, but there was an extra spot here, so I threw him on. I don't advise you to do this unless you're going to be using him in Abyss and you don't think you're going to be able to solo like Mephisto and some other mystic options, right? The only time it's ever going to be really useful for Torch, like at max sig, you can go through a quest using Torch a few times and still probably only use his pre-fight one time, so I just do not recommend it. Moving on, we're going to Mystic. We got Rintra and Dr. freaking Doom. Dr. Doom, of course, you know, top 4 prestige in the game. Really solid. He actually has a very underrated sig ability in my opinion. People are always like, oh, Doom doesn't need to be awakened. Yeah, no doubt. But there's a lot of things that Doom is really good for that he cannot do unawakened. Stealing power gain buffs. Just the ability to cheese the opponent on certain nodes. You know, all those Eternity of Pain fights where you're just like, oh yeah, Doom cheese. Well, he has to be sig 200 for that, really. And of course, you can get away with some really good RNG at a lower sig, but you want that 100% RNG with Dr. Doom. That comes at sig 200. So yeah, Dr. Doom actually does benefit from a high sig in my opinion, man. I really do think he does. Rintra, just absolutely phenomenal. Everybody's a part of the Moo crew nowadays. Everybody sees his potential. Amazing champion. No doubt about it. I would give him 2 generic Awakening Gems if I had to. Moving on, Diablo, super duper sustainable champion, great champion. Get that increased attack rating, increased sustainability, right? You know, if you have poison on him, poison on you, if you're on the Suicide Master, is really solid. Up next, we have Tiger. Tiger definitely needs to be at least around like sig 100 for this to be worth it. But yeah, you start with the senses up. Really important if you're a Tiger player. Mojo, very nice sig ability. Really big, potent fury on this guy. I gave my Mojo actually a generic gem about 6 months ago. He's very solid, man. He's lots of fun to use. He benefits from a high sig quite a bit. The Hood has a pretty nice sig ability. He can definitely be played on Duke, but he's very useful, especially in stuff like Battlegrounds and some Alliance war fights. Wiccan, lots of people are starting to warm up to Wiccan as well. Wiccan, great champion. Really loves to be awakened for sure. Definitely likes to be awakened. It allows him to not consume his shock debuff so that you can continue placing more plasma, right, as you put the incinerates on. Also, you can block with some cosmic champions as well. And also, one more thing he can do that I am forgetting. He can turn shocks into plasmas for shock immune champions. There we go. So yeah, Wiccan, great champion. Best option for no bosses in Alliance 4 at the moment too. Spidey Supreme definitely benefits from a high sig. Also is top 5 prestige at the moment at rank 4. Not at rank 5 though. I don't think he's top 5 at rank 5. I believe that still belongs to Valkyrie. So yeah. He's one of those champions where he's got like 3 blessings and the potency is just increased with more SIGs. So yeah, he's definitely going to notice every SIG Sony put into this guy. He's definitely worth the SIGs if you like the champion. He's definitely a solid champ. Sasquatch, man, especially if you care about Battlegrounds, man, he's going to be an absolute killer on defense. Absolute killer. Also very underrated on offense as well. But yeah, especially on defense, man, at a high SIG, he's an absolute bruiser, man. Going on to debatable, Wong, you know, his biggest issue is that he has a bit of a ramp up, and his sig ability helps us ramp up a little bit, plus it allows you to counter, like, you know, Hercules, which is kind of cool. Morningstar, you know, if you like Morningstar, she definitely does want to be awakened, but I don't really recommend you put anything in Morningstar, man. Voodoo, a little outdated, but definitely needs to be awakened. It's just that he's a little outdated. Ghost Rider, same deal for Voodoo, man. Does not necessarily need to be awakened, but for damage, he does. OG Scarlet Witch, man. She's definitely worth the gem, in my opinion, if you like her, and you're willing to give her 206 stones, which is definitely a big ask for a champion from 2015 that is quite outdated in the Mystic class, but she's still fun, and if you're looking to have some fun, it could be worth it. Moving on to Cosmic. All right, I think we can kind of skip through this guy right here. He's definitely not really a prestige option anymore. Sorry, buddy. Don't get me wrong. He has great prestige. It's just this is really reserved for, like, you know, top 5, top 6. Yeah. All right. Galen, no doubt about it, man. Like, no doubt about it. It gives him that huge ramp up against the power burn, all that stuff. Power burn, power lock, special lock, all those abilities, right? Nuts. Sig 120 is his sweet spot, man. Nothing higher is necessary. Galen, absolutely amazing. Not getting nerfed. His rebalance info is out. So good. Worth a generic without a freaking doubt. Moving on to class, we have Corvus, self-explanatory, immortal, great champion. Angela, I moved up Angela quite a bit from debatable up to class. Now, one reason why I did that is because 6 stones have been much more available since I've last made the video of the Awakening gem list. And for me, it was like, okay, yeah, Angela's good at a high sig, but you're not really going to put too many sigs into Angela over other champions, right? Nah, man, she's like completely immune to damage and debuffs at like sig 1, I want to say 172, 181, something like that. But yeah, Angela, man, absolutely nutty at that sig by herself. Plus, without that, high sig, she could definitely go immune to some things, right? Or just, shrug it off super duper fast is essentially how it works. She's not immune, but if she has, Odin with her, then if you bring Valkyrie along as well, you get a 4th Odin buff. So really solid champion there. Hyperion, no brainer, right? Doesn't need to be a high sig. Medusa does not need to be a high sig. King Groot definitely needs to be awakened, man. He has his damage without it, but like the best thing about King Groot is sustainability, and he needs to be awakened for that, preferably at a high-ish sig, at least sig 65 in my opinion. Cosmic Ghost Rider gets the damnation. It turns him into a buff control champion. Really solid sig ability there. Does not need 6 stones whatsoever. No, I moved up from debatable into class. He's a different champion at sig 200, man. In my opinion, one of the top Cosmic champions, and I personally feel like Cosmic is the best class in the game at the moment, and I believe Null has an argument for top 5. Depending on the situation, the top 5 will certainly change, but there are many situations where Null is number 1 for certain things, in my opinion. Very good, but definitely a different champion at sig 200. Phenomenal champ, phenomenal sig ability too, if you can invest in him. Moving on, we have Gore, who is indebatable, right? He currently does kind of need to be awakened, but he's also getting that value buff, so we're going to have to see. I don't recommend you do this until after we see the buff. But yeah, he could potentially be a decent option for a gem. And he definitely, right now, currently benefits from a high sig. Silver Surfer, I moved down to debatable just because, man, if you don't care, here's the thing. The other prestige options, spoiler alert, Infamous Iron Man's right here. The other prestige options, like, they're just really good champions. Silver Surfer is definitely a solid champion, but if you don't care about prestige, I just feel like there are better options to put the gem into. That's the only thing. Now, Silver Surfer is definitely an underrated champion. He's good for a lot of things. He's actually good in Battlegrounds, but if you don't care about these things, there are just going to be other champions that are going to be more generally useful for you. So that's why I did throw him down to debatable. If you don't care about prestige, I recommend you go a different avenue. Cersei is so good, especially for defense. She wants that sig ability. I love Cersei so much, and I would definitely give a gem to my Cersei if she was unduped. Captain Marvel movie, a bit outdated, but still very solid champion, especially at a higher rank. She could definitely do a lot of cool things. Hulkling, amazing champion, even unduped, but just at sig 20, he does get a nice benefit, and he gets a really nice benefit from a high sig, but he just doesn't need it. That's why he's indebatable. However, I do think Hulkling is a better champion than a lot of these champions. That's just but the reason why he's down here is because he's fine unduped too. Moving on to tech. We got the tech class. Ghost, no-brainer. Nimrod at this point, probably a no-brainer. I feel like everybody knows how good Nimrod is now. Infamous Iron Man, not in the featured pool yet. He will be soon. He's very good. He has the #1 prestige in the game. It's kind of a no-brainer at this point, right? So good. Moving on to class, Omega Sentinel. Omega Sentinel definitely benefits from a high-ish sig. She's definitely very solid. Very nice champion to put a Awakening gem into, especially if you're going to rank 4. Rocket Raccoon gets that really nice heal block ability. Absolutely love Rocket Raccoon. Guardian, some of the best energy resist in the entire game. Definitely needs to be at a high-ish sig. Sam Wilson gets a lot of damage from his sig ability, and he has like no damage without it, man. Plus, he gets some nice power control with the sap charges on parry as well. So Sam Wilson definitely wants to be at a high sig. Silver Centurion, all of his debuffs get turned into passives, and when you bring him to a higher sig, he gets higher block efficiency too. Does not need the highest sig, but it definitely benefits from it for sure. Starkey gets that increased critical rating, right, which is really nice, above 50% health. Starkey, a very solid champion. Then we have Vision, both of them really going to benefit very highly from a high sig, and how sigs are available nowadays, I tossed him in there because I don't think it's crazy to put him into him, because he's a very solid champion. He just needs the sig investment. Ultron at a high sig, man, is very useful. Immune to bleed and poison on his base, also immune to slow, but then you pretty much go like immune to shock and incinerate as well, which is very useful, especially if you're countering some mutants. Penny Parker, great champion, even unduped, but she gets that nice heal block ability, which is nice and could be nice for defense if you're going to be using her in Battlegrounds. Decent benefit from a high sig, increases the damage that the opponent takes there, and also it increases the length of the heal block, but great champion, even unduped. Warlock is definitely debatable. He gets that extra D-gem, but also he's absolutely solid without it. I would personally give a class gem to my Warlock if he was unduped, but yeah, but he definitely doesn't need it. Moving on to Mutant. Omega Red, self-explanatory. Archangel, self-explanatory. Kitty Pryde, fine at Sig 1, pretty self-explanatory, right? Lots of shakeups in the class here. Domino, dude. Domino popping to the top of the great options, class options here. The great options here for Mutants, for rank 4 and for the gem, man. All because of Battlegrounds. Rank 4 Sig 200 Domino is so stupid. It is so dumb. It is so dumb in Battlegrounds on defense, where if you don't have a counter, you're just probably losing the match because you're just going to be taking damage. It's so dumb, man. It's like if the emergence of Battlegrounds has just, like, you know, made so many great champions great. So many fun champions, just like so much more valuable, you know? Namor, one of the best sig abilities in the entire game, man. Plus, you know, it's really cool in that movie. Yeah. Obviously reflect all that damage. If you don't have if you don't want to invest in 6-star Namor and you haven't invested in 5-star Namor yet, 5-star Sigs are a dime a dozen nowadays. I highly recommend you do so. Colossus, man, you know, I'm not the biggest Colossus fan. I'm a poet, I don't even know it, you know, but Colossus can definitely benefit from that sig ability. It's very nice to have. Bishop, another champion just like Domino, jumping onto the list because of Battlegrounds. Dude, Bishop gets a really nice benefit from a high sig. Got those unblockable specials on defense, man. Plus, situationally, it could be very useful on offense too. Toad makes him so annoying on defense, dude. Plus, it's also a little bit better on offense as well. And OG Storm. OG Storm gets a really nice benefit, especially if you want to run her as a horseman, man. It increases the potency of her shocks. Really, really nice stuff. Then for debatable down here, we have Professor X, who definitely does not need it. We also have Magneto, who gets that... who gets that fail-safe, and also gets the extra burst damage. He should have this as well. He benefits from a nice high sig. And then Strife. Strife benefits from a nice high sig, but it's debatable for all of these guys because they can all be played on Awaken, and Strife, it's only going to come into play if you're using him for, like, casual questing or, like, Act 8, all this other stuff, right? So, yeah, Strife going to be amazing on Dude for, like, where you're really going to use him like Abyss, where most people are going to use him. So, this is my list here. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Let me know if you think I missed anything up. I would be interested to hear what you want to say about it. Keep in mind, the little asterisk means they benefit from a high sig, and the little arrow means that they are a top 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe in the future, I'll just make it top 10 prestige option. The prestige things just keep changing. New prestige champions are coming out every couple months. It's just, you know, I'd have to do a whole scan and go through it. It's whatever. If they have, like, you know, really good prestige, that they got it. You know, that's where it's at. Not the biggest deal. I'm probably just going to, like, remove that in the future. The next one's probably going to remove that because you know who has high prestige. You know who has it. You know who has it. That's it for this one. Yeah. Let me know if you want an updated list for best champions to use 6 stones on in the comment section below, and I'll look into making that if you want to see it. I'll be seeing you around, man.